I think I calculated over a 400% turnover in the first 90 days. So your chances were, every time you went out, you know, you were facing the stark possibility that that'd be your last mission. Our average crew life was 4 missions. And in retrospect, they now say that actually there was no way that anybody could, statistically, could complete a tour. You had to conclude sooner or later that if you survived, you were just damned lucky.
There's a strange thing about what certain conditions do to you and your mental attitude towards life. It changes completely. Your values, you know, you're pretty ethical in many ways, but during the war, your ethics kind of disappear because you're not, thought of life, forget it. You're not, you know, it's not that important anymore. Where you was, as a citizen, life was very important to me, other person's life. As I say, the war is an impersonal war. You drop your bombs, you kill all these people. The most important thing you've got to remember that are those people down the ground are building things to kill you. So they're just as vulnerable as I am. I didn't feel bad about it at all. I didn't think about kids. I didn't think about women, old ladies. I didn't think about that. My idea was if you kill enough Germans, the war is going to end, and the sooner the war ends, the sooner you get home. That's the whole attitude. Get home. Get it over with. Get home. Whatever it takes to do it, do it.
But the experience and realizing that it wasn't color or happenstance at birth that provided talent, but it was the opportunity. And as I say, as the history has become better known, many of the pilots have realized and said, hey, thanks for the job that you did, once they found out that the Red Tails were black pilots.
I hit the sand behind the hedgehog, which is about 130 yards from the seawall. I looked over to my left, and Sergeant Clarence Robeson of Lynchburg, Virginia. I always mention their names and where they came from. I don't want people to forget about them. Clarence Robeson was staggering by me without his helmet, gaping hole in the left side of his forehead. His blonde hair was streaked with blood. This used to be my nightmares. I'd be yelling, get down, because I never forgot that scene.
As they came over the fence, we just fired on them. It was kind of like a manslaughter. They were helpless and defenseless. And this barbed wire fence, you imagine what that is with a weapon trying to get over that thing. And as they were hitting this fence, we were shooting them. And this went on for maybe, I couldn't tell you, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. Finally it stopped and everything quieted down. And if you can imagine what that looked like in the snow, it's hard to imagine.
This is quite a shock when you, for the first time, to see all these dead people, you know. That really gets you to thinking. But then, after a little while, it gets to be all hat, more or less. But even so, every time you lose somebody, it registered with you, you know. Those are the things that you see that happen. And you never forget.
And a long hour or two after we were underway, we went by this concentration camp. And there those guys were, they heard us coming. And they were skin and bones, Seth, just standing there holding on to that wire fence and trying to wave and trying to speak, you could tell. They were trying to yell at us. They didn't have the strength. They were skin and bones, every one of them. Well, I wanted to cry, just like I'm doing now. But I knew then that we were right. And what we had done.
But April 29, the 7th Army liberated Dachau. It was my most It was my most glorious day of my life. We laughed and cried at the same time. But when we heard that the Americans arrived, it was just a joy, unimaginable, the feeling, and I don't have the words for it enough to express my appreciation for the greater generation. I indebted to them, because without their effort and sacrifice, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Wars are so futile, and they're stupid. They're folly. There are no winners. They're victims and they're vanquished, and victors, but they're no winners. And so it's not the thing that you can do if you can possibly avoid it.